there, my name is Kolby Kreidel. I'm in the nuclear medicine program, Chattanooga State Community College, and I'm going to demonstrate for you how to do bars this morning. So let's take a look at our camera. We are at St. Thomas Hospital, and this camera, particular cameras, this gamma camera, is Siemens, and it's a single head. So let's look at it. Let's take a look. Here we go. So there's our camera. It's an eCam, Siemens, single head. Okay, so now I'm running bars. If you look up at our display screen here, you can see the ppm. And so you can see there's 4 different quadrants. The top, right, bottom right, left lower, and then left upper. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at each quadrant and confirm that we have linearity, number 1, and then number 2, that we have good spatial resolution. I'll explain that to you as we go. But first, let's set up our bars. This is the Cobalt 57, our flood source. We're going to set it to the side. It's 10 millicuries. And if you notice, I've placed the bars upside down because I'm actually spinning these quadrants around. I started at 3.5 millimeters, which is this bottom one, and I did the lower left quadrant. Then I spun it upside down. Let me just show it to you so you're not confused. The first picture, if you see, says 3.5 millimeter, and I'm placing it over this quadrant, the left lower quadrant of the camera, the head itself. Then I spin it, or flip it, so that same 3.5 millimeter quadrant is now in the left upper quadrant. So I've done that picture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to put that 3.5 millimeter in the upper right quadrant. So there it is, 3.5 upper right quadrant. And you can see all these bars are different, space in between each one. And once you get the bars all lined up, easier when you don't have a camera in your hand. Then you take the Cobalt 57 flood source and you lay it over the top. Once you get that lined up where you want it, you can look up on your screen, and I've got all 4 quadrants. So, like I said, I've already done the first quadrant, the lower left. I did the upper left. And so right now we're going to be looking at the upper right, 3.5. This is the corner we're at now. You might want to write that down when you're doing it, if you're actually doing all 4 quadrants, so that you don't get lost. So let's go to the computer, Siemens single head, and we're looking over here. If you can see the screen, you have this top section, summary, series information, camera parameter, stop conditions, we're at stop conditions, making sure we're at 5,000 kilocounts. And then I've added 4 different views. So we got view 1, view 2, view 3, view 4. Right now I'm on view 3, and we're getting ready to start. So I've already hit prepare acquisition, and you can see the play button is lit up blue. As soon as I hit that, boom. Now you can see it's going to start counting. And it says 12 minutes remaining. So this is view 3 of 4. Right now we're at 63 counts. And while I'm here, I'm just going to show you a few other things while it's doing that head. If we go up to display analysis, it's going to bring up the ones that I've done so far. And so down here at the bottom, I can hit this button here to make it bigger, which maybe that'll help. So this is 3.5 milliliters of cobalt 57 with the bars in the left lower quadrant. And you can see the difference between each line. There's a little space between them. You can see that. You can tell the difference between one point from another point. And so it's kind of more difficult up here in the left upper quadrant, but that's okay, because if you look at the other two quadrants, you can see really good. So we have linearity, the bars are straight, and we have good spatial resolution, as I can determine the difference between 2 points. Okay, so, but technically right now, 3.5 millimeter we just did on this section, left lower quadrant. Then I moved it up. Here's the 3.5 millimeter left upper quadrant. And right now we're actually acquiring the 3.5 millimeter in the upper right. And then after we're done with this one, we're gonna move it one more time down to this lower right quadrant. And that'll give us the ability to pull up under display analysis, and we can look and see in all four quadrants how our spatial resolution and our linearity is looking. Okay, so we're back at the camera. We're going to remove the cobalt flood source, and we're confirming that's 3.5 millimeters. So now what I want to do is get that 3.5 to this quadrant, which is the last quadrant that I need to do. So to do that, I'm just going to flip this upside down. Like that. Make sure it's lined up. Put the cobalt back on. Confirm on my screen that everything's lined up. And I'm going to come out here to the computer. So we're doing the fourth view, last view. Again, 5,000 kilocounts, and I hit play. There we go. Okay, so after the acquisition's completed, there's the static acquisition. Come to the bottom, you hit done right here. When you hit done, it'll open up this check mark at flexible display. And there we go. We can now look at the actual display of our images. Shrink them down so we can get all four. 1, 2, 3, 4. If one of these was we decided it wasn't linear or the spatial resolution was not good, we would call the field service officer, and at that point, if he was unable to fix it, then he would get a hold of the manufacturer. And so that's bars. I'm just going to make sure I go put everything away, and that concludes our acquisition.